going to start this video. Oops, need to slide this over. Just this a little bit. Okay. I'm going to start here at this point in the text. This is page 17 of 47. And you can see what I've done is I've taken different verses like above what I'm saying from Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and I put them into the best order to tell the truth of Jesus. And if you need more information, watch the first video, because I don't want to do this 9 different times or every time I do a video. So the books are in the description. If you have a description in your platform here. On another holy day, Jesus entered a synagogue to teach, and there was a male whose right hand was deformed. So their priests in attendance were watching if he would heal on holy day in order to accuse him of working. But he knew what they were thinking, so he asked them, "Which male among you who has one ram, and it falls into a pit on your holy day, will you not lift it out? How much more valuable is a male than a ram? Thus it is lawful to do good on your holy days." And they kept silent. So what I have here is some maps that I know. This one, Jesus is in Ephraim, and he's heading here to see John the Baptist. And I don't know quite where this is at, but this is where the text says it's at. The priest in attendance. This gives reason to believe that at this time they felt that they had to have priests at their synagogue. So there's no text proving that there's supposed to be priests there. This seems to be something that has been invented since they're coming back from Babylon and set up for Jesus. And the time span between this is about, I'm thinking, 200 years plus. And so what we have is corrupt priests in attendance. And we know from the text above, they had a network of runners that go and tell each other what's going on. And they are there and these priests in attendance are against Jesus. So these guys are corrupt. So to get the idea why they would be watching, and they're going to try to trap him or accuse him of working. After looking at them, he said to that male, "Reach out your hand." As he reached out his hand, it became normal. Then our priests and attendants left to counsel together against Jesus as to how they might trap him. Now I have priests and attendants. Okay. I'm going to change this, that they only have one priest at this place, because I'm not sure they'd have. Yeah, they could have more, so I guess I should leave that alone. And this is talking about how they might trap them. So they're trying to actually pay attention to what they're being told by the corrupt priest from Jerusalem. Jesus is aware of this, and Jesus was aware of this. need to add those two words. But many followed him to be healed by him. Okay. Well, this would have been on his way that they were hearing about him, and he's got followers, and they probably left from that synagogue. Now, I had to add this text to kind of connect the two together. As when I place in these verses and trying to find the best order for them, this is what has to happen here, this meshing of the text. Then people were bringing their babies and children to Jesus so he could touch them. When Judas saw this, he stopped their children. Jesus told him, let their children come to me and never stop them again. So he's now teaching Judas. I know I had to change the name here to Judas, so you won't find that in Luke 18, verse 15. I thought when I was doing the text that Judas has to be, because he's going to be the one to be deceiving. So at any time that a disciple is hindering Jesus from people, or this case, I gave that person's name to Judas for the text to be understood why Judas would be the one who betrayed him. For my kingdom from Yahweh is like those children. Truly I say, whoever does not believe in my kingdom from Yahweh, they will not enter, for they will never call me Lord when they do not do what I say. Okay, this is text here is a warning to people, so it's kind of a guidance that Jesus is saying, that you've been reading about me, you've been hearing from me, but if you don't obey what I tell you to do, then you're not going to enter into his kingdom. Whoever hears my words and acts on them is like a male building a home and laid the foundation upon solid ground, and when a flood bursts against his home, it will not fall. Who disobeys me did not act like the male who built his home on solid ground. It will be like when a flood bursts against it, it will collapse. As Jesus was walking, a male knelt before him. The very rich elder asked him, "Perfect teacher, what shall I do to have eternal life with you?" Jesus told him, "Why do you call me perfect? There is no one perfect except Yahweh." So the confusing of Jesus at that time, why would he call him perfect teacher? He's trying to, Jesus is trying to point out that he is not the perfect teacher. Our Creator is the one who is perfect and teaches everyone. You know his commandments: do not murder willingly, do not commit adultery, do not steal, do not bear false witness, and honor your father and mother. And he answered, "My Lord, I have obeyed all these from my youth." Now, speaking of that, when I did the 12 commandments, okay, and I labeled them, you're going to notice here that you will not commit adultery. This text in gray is what I've added. So the thing here is just to understand where I got this from. This would be from the verses that Jesus is telling us that you shall not commit adultery. These others are covered in there, in the 12. Do not bear false witness, and honor your father and mother. And I obeyed all these from my youth. When Jesus heard from him, he told him, "Sell your goods and give your money to the poor, then follow me." When he heard this, he walked away, for he was very wealthy. Jesus said to his disciples, this should be a capital D. This part should be red. Change that text, so I got to make that. These are my editing notes to take the text forward. Hi, Wesley. How you doing? Above, I've added Luke, Matthew, Mark, and John together, and these are the verses where I got these verses. You have rejected and denied that Jesus told you to tell the vision. I'm not sure what you're implying there, but I advise you to watch the first video on this list of what I'm doing. Let me show you something. Okay, I'm reading stuff, but I got to point out some things to you. These are the 12 commandments that are found in Exodus 1 through 20, verses 1 through 17. He just left, so it's not worth talking to somebody who has no brain, doesn't really know when prophecy is happening. When he heard this, who are wealthy, enter my kingdom for Yahweh. Then Jesus told them, oops, I guess there's, oops, that is a space that should have been, I thought I corrected all those. This is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than a richer to enter my kingdom from Yahweh. This proverb by Jesus is mentioned many times, and what Jesus is pointing to is that he himself is the needle, that is easier for a camel to go through the eye of the needle. For the eye of the needle is Jesus' yes, yes, and the point it is no, no. This is what the meaning of this camel going through the eye of the needle, than a richer to enter my kingdom from Yahweh. Those around us hear this. We're asking, then how can we enter? Jesus said, with men it is impossible, but not with Yahweh, for all things are possible by Yahweh. So he was pointing out, he didn't explain the parable to them, and we know that from the text above that Jesus talked in parables, and then he would tell his disciples later the meaning behind it. So they are able to talk about Jesus after his body dies on earth. So Jesus said, with men it is all impossible. Yeah, okay. Judas says, but we left our families to follow you. Then Jesus told them, meaning the disciples, so this T should be capitalized. And I need this to be in the description below in YouTube. I've combined all the books together to create Yahweh's everlasting promises in the first Hebrew formats. And then I'm using this text to combine at the end. So these editings will be updated. Right now I'm trying to find places to put maps and other notes to be added into the text to make it better. When he was returning to Capernaum, okay. Now, this can't be true. Copernicus is out of place. Jesus is headed into here. He's already talked about, um, he's heading to John by Salem. And this is where Israel most likely crossed into the promised land. So it's also designated by 2. So why do I have him returning to Capernaum, which is up here? This to be changed. This location. This idiot here that doesn't understand what I'm doing here. If I change Exodus 26, verse 26 from bars to arches, now we have a tent for meeting that has a roof over it. If I show you that if I take the 12 disciples' names from Matthew, Mark, and Luke, none of them are the same and they're different, so they didn't know each other. If I told you that every word in the Bible is true, you're wrong. Here's the word which. Here it is in Hebrew. They're using it actually only 1,900 times. And yet, so how did they use it for reason, storehouse, powder, anyone, or deadly? Because here's the word so. This is the Hebrew word for so, and so is used 7 times. So you actually don't study the Bible. You just talk about the Bible by following another person's thought. Example, I have a video in the YouTube description about a bishop that describes that the church fathers have taught Jesus as a myth. So all your words you are teaching Jesus as a myth because there is no Trinity. Jesus teaches there is no Trinity. This text here, Jesus was returned to Capernaum. This is the path of Jesus and all the things that he did. And I will have his map for sale after I update it. And he's down here. So as he's returning to Shisha, would be a good place. That means that he was here and he went back up here. I'm going to put Shisha. Here, so everybody knows where he's at. And I'll show this. There's the centurions. These 2 words. And this is to a 12-year-old reading the text Do not look up the word centurion. The Roman captains Israeli servant deadly sickness and about to die when he heard Jesus was coming. And he sent his friends to ask him to come heal his servant. Now, there's another city that I haven't listed here, and that was when, let's see if I have that in names. This was the one this is the city, Tarzera. This was, I placed Jeroboam's house here, near this city. A lot of things happen here at this city. So, that is a better location. As it was a larger city by then. He sent his friends. Instead, the good guys was Israelis. This. He sent his Israeli friends to ask him to come and heal his servant. They came to Jesus and begged him, "His servant is worthy for you to heal him." He answered, "I will come with you to heal him." Jesus went with them while they were still far from his home. The Roman captain came, said to Jesus, "Do not trouble yourself to go any farther, for I'm not worthy to have you in my home." This needs to be changed to house. To define the difference between a house and a home doesn't have, we're doing a word search to make sure all homes and all houses remain the same for the definition. A house will have servants. So he had a servant, so need to change that to house. For this reason, just say your words, for my servant will be healed. For I am a male with authority and with soldiers under me. When I say to one, go, he does. Then another soldier comes to me, and he does as I order him to. He does as I order him. I was thinking as well, or two, and I think I'll put the word to here. And as I order him to. Well, that's not reading right. Okay, I'll just save it right there. When Jesus heard this, he turned to the crowd and said, "Not even an Israeli have found such a trust in me." Then Jesus told him, "Go home, your servant will live." He believed Jesus and started off for home. His servant met him and told him his servant is now healthy. Then he asked, "What was the hour did he get better?" He said, "Noon hour." The fever left him. The Roman captain knew That was the hour Jesus told him, your servant will live. So now let's see here. This is the major highway. So Jesus could have come down to Gilgal. And then as he's turning up here, he came out. It has to be, he was here, he's coming here from here. So the text needs to he was going to Arizona. This is much better. This is much better. So sit him down. Okay. Let's see. They meaning disciples. His disciples stripped off the grains and rubbed them in their hands to clean and eat. When our elders saw this, they told their disciples. So this is probably going to be needed a few times. Okay. Do what is sinful on our holiday. Jesus asked them, have you read what David did when he became hungry and asked him the highest priest? To break. Entered the tent for meeting with Yahweh, and he took the wheat sitting before Yahweh, and he ate the wheat which is not to be eaten by anyone. It's not working on them. Okay, now this is where I combine the verses, so it doesn't read smoothly right here. Yes, not working on holy days are made for man's work. I am your son for man and your king. And why they did say you can prepare your food. Now this text here is pretty much saying that there's going to be celebrations on holy days, like it was a statute that they were all to meet around his tent or house for meeting our Creator and celebrate the passing over. And then on the summer solstice, it's held for 8 days. So they had to prepare their food for these days. So this is pretty much what was acceptable for our Creator when He knew that they needed to eat for those days. So that text is very important and needs to be put in. Have you not read His commandment for your holy days? You will do no work. Yet His priests circumcise on their holy days, and they are innocent too. There's been a few times I mentioned above that Jesus is saying that here the priests are supposed to obey the statutes that overrule the commandment for the holy day. So the thing here is other times Jesus has talked about when you're helping somebody like a policeman, a fireman, they're excused from this cause of work on a holy day. If you had known what this means, I desire compassion, you would not give hard judgments for accidental acts. For I am your son from man, and I am to remember our Lord on His holy days. Two, son from man, and I am too to remember our Lord on His holy days. Here's the verses. As prophesied through Isaiah. I didn't know where to really put this text, so I put it here. And it's kind of mentioning about who Jesus is. So this is kind of like the writers at this time putting like a note someplace in the text to say this. And I just felt this was the great place to put it. He prophesied through Isaiah, "Behold, my servant whom I have chosen, my beloved, with whom my soul is pleased. I will put my breath upon him to proclaim my promises to the kingdoms. He will not quarrel nor cry out. A broken reed he will not break off. A smoldering wick he will not put out until he leads my justice until he leads by his justice and his victory. For by his name everyone in every kingdom will have trust in me." When people around the world are reading this text, this is the text that says, it was said and declared by our Creator in the Hebrew text, and I can't find this. I can find something that points to this, and I've showed that in Genesis. But every kingdom on earth will have trust in me. So maybe I should note that. I'll just put Genesis to remind myself. I just don't know how many other times I'm going to find that text. After Jesus looked at the multitude, he walked up a hill and sat down. Then he began teaching. "Blessed are the poor, for many of them will be in my kingdom in heaven. Blessed are those who hunger for righteousness, they will be rewarded. Blessed are the merciful." And I'm thinking this is wrong. I think this needs to be, this is the way I've been noting. I'm not trying to follow English, the proper English, but this is my way of saying these are how to note. Oh, come on now. began teaching, blessed are the poor, for many of them will be in my kingdom in heaven. Blessed are those who hunger for righteousness, they will be rewarded. Blessed are the merciful, they will receive my mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, they will see Yahweh. Blessed are the peacemakers, they will be called children for Yahweh. Blessed are those who have been persecuted for their righteousness, they will be in my kingdom in heaven. Blessed are them when man insults and prosecutes them or speaks evil against them on my account. They will rejoice, for the reward is in heaven. The reward is heaven. For they were persecuted just like his prophets before them. For they are like the salt of the earth. For if salted, it becomes tasty. If salted too much, it's thrown away. This is a parable. Not to overdo whatever you're doing, like donating to people and then turn around and say, I donated. If you go on YouTube, you'll find these people, oh, I'm giving this person money and making everybody aware of what he thinks is doing good. But here our Creator says not to do that. It is thrown away, that it deters your righteousness from the act that you just did. And it's related to all these verses here. Truth is like a light, like a city on a hill. It cannot be hidden. Man does not light a lamp to be hidden, for a lampstand is to give light to everyone in the home. Let your light shine before man, that they see your good work as you honor our Creator, you honor our Father in heaven. I came not to abolish his laws, but to fulfill them. So this is Jesus telling you this is one of the things our Creator told him to do when he was here, when he was sent. Truly I say, heaven and earth will pass away, but not the smallest letter will pass away from his laws. Meaning that they might have threw them out here, but our Creator does not forget them. So don't take this as literally words, because I point out many times that some of the text here is not found now anywhere else. Whoever removes one of his commands, then teaches another, they will not be in my kingdom in heaven. Whoever keeps and teaches them, they will be in my kingdom in heaven. It's still loaded up. Unless your righteousness surpasses that of the scribes, you will not enter my kingdom in heaven. This stops now, because this was for everybody before the time where this prophecy of Jesus is being fulfilled, because it's going to be awfully hard for you to beat this scribe in anything that's here in the text that you're seeing. So the thing here is this was definitely an example of this guy that was commenting here in the comment section on YouTube. He has his own way, but he believes in those that are editing the text. Yet if you notice that those editors of all those books are not out teaching what they wrote or edited into the text, they remain hidden, and then have the false church teach you what you're supposed to learn from them and not read the text literally, because they're teaching Jesus as a myth. So this is what Jesus was saying, that your righteousness surpass. Let your righteousness surpass of the scribes, you will not enter my kingdom in heaven. So the thing here is you were supposed to go through your text and say, this is not true, not just put the words colorful and say, I like this verse. So this was your righteousness that Jesus was going to account you for. You will not enter my kingdom in heaven. You have his command, you will not murder willingly, but whoever does murder will be subject to his law. You have his commandment, you will not commit adultery. I say everyone who lusts in their mind commits adultery. So the thing here is, this, you will not murder willingly. Whoever does murder will be subject to his law. Now, this here, I think I'm going to change the commandment. For the simple thing, it is a commandment. And it does say unwillingly that, so you have to understand that Jesus taught, or the 12 commandments here, you will not kill willingly. The simple fact is that they had refuge cities set up in case for that person who was around a dead body, that if it was by accident or if it was done on purpose, that they would run to the refuge city and kind of go to through a court system for this specific reason, to fulfill the commandment. Because if he was judged that if he didn't commit it willingly, then it was, he was to bring a sin offering. So you can't have, you will not kill in the 10 commandments because 12 commandments, because to disobey any one of these, then you were to bring a sin offering. So it has to be not kill willingly. And you have to understand the refuge cities. Okay, you will not commit adultery. I say everyone who lusts in their mind commits adultery. And I don't see this as it's a 5-point. Moses wrote as a law, the husband sending his wife away from him will give her a letter of their divorce. I say every husband who divorces his wife, except for her adultery, makes her commit adultery, and every male marrying with these divorced females are committing adultery. So Jesus is specifically calling out what adultery is, because of the confusion of what Moses did by the law over time. People were writing for divorces for probably anything, and these judges were ruling that. So Jesus is pointing out this is his command or his guidance to what adultery is. You were told you will not make false vows, for you will fulfill your vows to Lord. A vow means you talk to our Creator and say, this is what I'm going to do. And then if you don't do this, this is going to be marked against your words that you said one thing and then you honestly talk to our Creator and then you overruled your own vow by not speaking truly your vows. I say you are not to make any swearing at all. Let your truths be like yes, yes, or no, no. Anything else is wickedness. You have heard this judgment, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. I say you are to contest who are evil, but whoever has power to slap your right cheek, turn the other to them. If anyone wants to sue you for your shirt, let them have your coat also. Whoever has a complaint against you, walk a mile with them, then walk with them too. Okay, let me go over this here. Let's see. Swearing is not the same thing as a vow, and Jesus says you're not supposed to swear at all to anything. You are to be before our Creator at all times. So let your truths be yes, yes, or no, no. Anything else is wickedness. Example, don't be making up lies. It's wickedness. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. This was how they were to rule for like a pregnant woman that was beat. These things here were cause of the child, and then they were to judge that one who beat his pregnant wife. That was what's supposed to go on. So Jesus is saying, well, I'm telling you that how this is tied together. Maybe I should make a note on this. I had to those. But Jesus saying, I say you are to contest who are evil, but whoever has the power to slap your right cheek. That means that, say, someone of a higher authority that you're supposed to be obedient to, because there is texts that are in the Hebrew side that our Creator said that when you're in not on the land and you've been cast away from it, you are to be obedient to those laws. So Jesus is kind of saying that under that situation, if they're got the power to slap your cheek, turn the other to them. If anyone wants to sue you for your shirt, let them have your coat also, meaning material things don't matter to you, to show that you're trying to be before your Creator and say, whatever you are judging, you're not my judge. My Creator is my judge, and He is going to judge me, or allow Jesus to judge me to enter into His kingdom in heaven. Same thing with a complaint. Give to whomever asks from you, for you should not turn away whom needs to borrow from you. You will love your neighbor and hate your enemy. I say, have love for your enemy by petitioning our Creator, even if they persecuted you. This is very important. Are you understanding what the word petition means? Petition means to ask our Creator for something. If you're talking to our Creator, that's your prayer to our Creator. So there's a difference. And it doesn't say love your enemy. It says have a love for your enemy by petitioning our Father, even if they have persecuted you. So these are all in lands that you're a foreigner of, or pretty much today. You're supposed to abide by them. But Jesus is pretty much saying in a lot of these, just forget their material life, okay? Okay, your soul depends on your righteousness to be obedient to our Creator. So you are to be like the righteous for our Father in heaven. The word righteous means that you're tied to being the most obedient. You have to follow the as many statutes that are reasonable at this time. You're supposed to definitely live by the 12 commandments today, no matter where you're at. And this would be for all nations or all people in all kingdoms today. And then there's many laws and other guidances that you should try to be obedient to, be immediate. But I would say the commandments and laws, there are some laws that I'm not sure are today, because I know a lot of things about the food at that time was different from the food that we eat today that's more cleaned up and more healthy for you to eat. So that was pretty much the name of the game, or the will of our Creator to keep his people healthier. So there's other little guidances here and there in the laws that I would say strictly don't be so strict on yourself, but try to be obedient to as many as possible. For you to even speak, you have respect and honor for our Creator to even think that you're righteous. Okay? If you love those who love you, what reward have you from Him? If you greet your brothers and sisters only, how will you establish more? So see, I'm not all in perfect English here. You are to be perfect like your Father, like our Father. Do not practice your righteousness before men to be noticed by them. And I gave you those examples earlier, like passing out money and saying, look at me on YouTube, how good I am. When you give charity, do not sound a trumpet before you. That's kind of what you see here. This trumpet is making videos. Hypocrites do this in your synagogues and streets to be honored by man. I say you will be rewarded. Your standard of measure will be the measure of you. When you pray, do this in your home, for our Father is watching you. Have trust in Yahweh. When you pray, do not say meaningless repetitions like the pagans. This would be speaking to like those that repeat the rosary. Then it would be in other religions that you say this all the time, just like the Catholic Church says, everybody says, what is it? The Our Father and the Hail Mary. Those are wrong. You don't do those things, although I guess that would be the rosary. Whenever you kneel for praying for his forgiveness or have anything against anyone, so your Father in heaven will forgive you of your wickedness. Because here I'm saying that you are obedient to our Creator. So, and if you're not obedient to our Creator, you're evil. So when I'm using the word wickedness, you're someone who our Creator is already, or you're already doing your best, but Jesus has given you guidance here on how to have a forgiveness on those, as mentioned above. When you petition him, do this in this way. My Father, holiness is in your name. Jesus' kingdom came by your will done on earth. Please give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our transgressions, as we pardon our transgressors. Lead us not into temptation, and deliver us from evil. And I think I'm going to use this as all capitals as well, because you're asking for forgiveness. This is do this in this way, like this, not repeat these words, but in the likeness of these words. Okay? So I say, by forgiving man's transgressions against you, our Father will forgive you. If you have not pardoned man, meaning male and female, then your Father will not forgive your transgressions. When you fast, do not have a gloomy face. Our Father is watching you. This would have been at their time, and it was kind of like a custom. Not so much that this was in the Hebrew text. This is about the fact that they were fasting just to fast. I guess it's like an act of being regretful of what you've done. Pretty much fast here, what's going on. So don't have a gloomy face. So fasting today is just about trying to diet. So the thing here is fast here at this time is pretty much a custom that they did. Okay. Do not gather for yourself treasures on earth, again, material wealth. Gather for yourselves your good willingness, to enter heaven. Yeah, I think I've created words here sometimes too. So gather for yourselves your good willingness to enter into heaven. Where your good willingness was, so was your will in your heart. Your goodness is like a lamp from your soul, but by your eyes being clear, your soul will be your light. And your eyes being bad, your soul will be full of darkness. I had to use the word bad instead of darkness. Your eyes being dark. Here, it's just, this would be just, there's just. That gets me to be able to use bad as your soul is full of darkness. The lamp has to be tied to light. From your soul, by your eyes being just, your soul will be your light. By your eyes being just, your soul will have light. By your eyes being dark, by your eyes being bad, just, that would be just, just, okay. think that's good. That would kind of like doesn't really need the explanation here. No one can serve two masters. We will dislike one and like the other. Therefore, you cannot serve him and rich and riches. Therefore, you cannot serve him and riches. Look at the birds. They do not sow or harvest, and the Father feeds them. And you are worthy more than you. First Timothy. I'm trying to edit in my head as I'm going through the words and checking, so I wonder how many times I really misspeak. So now, because I've noticed when I'm doing more concentrating on trying to edit the text than read the text, you are worth more to him than them. Observe how the lilies in the field grow. They do not work, nor do they reap. These I've thought about several times, but now I'm ready to make the final jump. I know it's on my list to look at in my own notes. Observe the lilies in the field grow. This absolutely, I can't actually teach that even as a proverb being explainable. I can't put myself at that time to make actually sense of these. So that's just going to be out forever. They even Solomon in his days did not clothe themselves like one lily. Observe how the lilies in the field grow. So lilies at this time have to be considered a beautiful flower that's grown wild. And some in this day did not clothe themselves like one another. Yeah, I gotta get rid of that. That's what's not being able to be explained. Meaning our Creator created everything perfect. We're the ones that make the judgment of the thoughts that are given to us. That we make our free will choice from those thoughts that are given. And to clothe oneself and to be like a lily is still not as well as our Creator makes everything perfect. And then, yeah, the grass in the field. It was to be plants in the field, meaning we're going to line everything up to be perfect in the field, which are aligned today, then tomorrow be thrown into fire. And I have to think of this and find other verses that hopefully make this more teachable. So, this should be this can be related to this. So do not be worrisome, saying, "Nothing will drink, myself with." I got the hiccups. Very good. Do not be worrisome, saying, "What will I eat? What will I drink? Or what will I clothe myself?" And this would be to the person who is well off to do these and have many choices. This is not to speak about those who are poor. Um, the Father knows you need these things. You are to seek first my kingdom through his righteousness for you. Then these things will be given to you. And this is speaking to your obedience to our Creator's commands. Do not worry for tomorrow will be cared for. And this does speak to the poor than it does to those that have wealth to have anything here that they want to eat or drink or clothe themselves with, such as having too many clothes in your closet, women. The way you judge, you will be judged. you will let your standard of measure be applied to you, then you will know what you know is wrong in your friend's eyes. You will not notice the wrong in your own eyes. The way you judge, you will be judged. So let your standard of measures be applied to you. Then what you know is wrong in your friend's eye, why do you not notice wrong in your own eye? For how can you say to your friend, cast the wrong from yourself, when the wrong is in your own eye? This is all self-explanatory there. Do not be a hypocrite. First remove the wrong from your own eyes, then they will see, then you. I'm thinking that I use the word they to mean the many who are doing this, telling each other's righteous. Whether you're not righteous enough, then they will. I think I'm going to leave the word they here, meaning as the whole group. Then they will see clearly why you want to remove from your friend's eyes. Yes, that's because they will see by you holding yourself to the standard that you're to be applied to. So this is kind of got to be read into to know what Jesus is speaking about here. And this is where it comes where I didn't want to add my own text into the text. That's good reason why to leave the word they here, for you to understand. First, you're supposed to be doing this, apply to you, and not that if you don't, then I think I wrote this several times, and I guess this is the best I can get it with. It's still confusing though when it gets to here. Why you want to remove the wrong from your friend's eyes. Do not give your judgment to disbelievers, for they will trample them under your feet. Okay, that's a guidance. Not your judgment, but your truths. Or no, if you call out your truths and they say to you, such like an atheist that says there is no greater, and you go by your truths to give him a judgment reason, Jesus saying, don't do this, because they are going to actually, they're just doing this to do this. But that would be tricky because that when you do talk, and I've talked to many atheists, they do still want to know your truth about it's like they don't have that thought of that way in their thought garden for them to truly believe our Creator exists. And you have to I think judgment is different than your truths to the believer. So judgments are I guess judgment would be the quick reason, if you give a quick reason for the judgment. When instead here Jesus is saying that you need to give them more explaining of your truth than just your judgments for disbeliever. Otherwise, they'll just trample them under their feet. Ask your Father for good judgments to be given you, and by seeking him, you are knocking for him to open for you. Everyone is to ask to receive from him. Who among you, when your child or your children ask for food, you will give him a stone? They had a snake, and I thought a stone would be better. Your Father will give you his goodness to those who ask from him. Therefore, you are to treat people just as you would like to be treated. Thus you are entering heaven by the narrower gate. In other words, you're supposed to talk to our Creator to help you out. And by seeking him, you are knocking for him to open, for you to come in to understand from our Creator. And for everyone is to ask to receive from him. And then he's given an example of how our Creator is going to treat you, just like your children ask you for food, and you give them a stone. Our Father is willing to give his goodness to those who ask from him. In other words, our Creator will never give you evilness if you're asking for his help. Okay? Then it's the guidance that you're supposed to treat other people just as you would like to be treated. This is, some people would call the golden rule that's found in the text. Right there it is. Thus you are entering heaven by the narrower gate, meaning that your righteousness is the narrower gate, because many people are going to have mercies and compassion to enter into heaven. So this here is those who are obedient to our Creator. You have to know that you're willing to obey him willingly to enter into heaven, and not so much to have a compassion and mercy by saying you like our Creator and you use our Creator to say how good things you are hoping for people, and then you don't actually do what our Creator says. But some of them might get a compassion and mercy to enter into heaven. So this is the narrower gate. Your willingness to do our Creator's commands is this narrower gate. So beware of false prophets. They will come to you like a lamb, but their words are like wolves. And this pretty much is speaking about those today telling you what the text says, and they absolutely don't know what the text says because they're teaching false words. Like I said, there's a description that on my YouTube channel. If you just go to the channel, right down below is my name, go to my YouTube channel, and then what will happen is it'll give you a search bar. Just search the word myth, and I give you that definition of the church fathers taught Jesus as a myth. Okay, they always have taught Jesus as a myth. So all the text that's in the Bible is teaching Jesus as a myth. So they're falsely teaching. False prophets come and say, oh, this is specific to the prophets. They're the ones that say, I'm a prophet and this is what happening now. I don't know. There's I've lived too long. I see these guys coming and saying, this is what this means in the text, and yet it has nothing to do with today's time. But they're the ones collecting all the money from people, but they're actually false prophets, false teachers. So you have to beware of false. because I can't really use the word prophets here. Beware of false teachers would be a better word, because they want to be teaching you what the text says, because they aren't prophets at all. None of them are saying our Creator made me see him and this is what he said and this is what's going to happen, and nothing happens. That's the thing. So beware of false teachers. They will come to you like a lamb, but their words are like a wolf. You will know them by their teaching, for a good teacher will not produce false teaching. And you'd have to go through and find out what they said, and then when it didn't happen, that's their false teaching. Or they're saying something, and then you find in the text, now this text, that they didn't teach it exactly truthfully. So a lot of people get up, and there's too many people making just money instead of being truthful, because if they were telling you the truth, they would have told you there was 12 commandments, but if they didn't study, they're just repeating garbage. Not everyone's saying to me, my Lord. Oops. Saying to me, my Lord, for my kingdom, but whoever obeys our Father will enter. For some will say to me, my Lord, did we not speak in your name? You will declare to them, depart from me, for you live lawlessly. That's speaking to these false teachers, okay? They're not going to enter into heaven. They've been deceiving. Everyone hearing my words and believes and lives by them is to be compared to a wise male who built his house upon solid ground. And everyone hearing my words and does them and lives by them who does not live by them is like the foolish male who built his house on sand, and as the rain descended like a flooding, it fell. If you notice, this is the second time Jesus is teaching the same parable, only differently. So when Jesus finished, the crowd was amazed by his teaching, for Jesus taught as having authority and not like our teachers and scribes. When he came down from the hillside, the large crowd still followed him. He came down. Okay, I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to come back and I'll teach the next group of words, or pretty much editing the text right now. So